The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with anxious murmurs as representatives from countless civilizations gathered. The emergency session had been called for one reason: the Kayazal had done the unthinkable. A holographic display flickered to life in the center of the Grand Hall, showing the Kayazal invasion fleet descending upon Earth. The Council watched in stunned silence. Some species had tried to make peaceful contact with humans. Others had stayed away, wary of the warning signs in their history. But the Kayazal? They ignored them all. Ambassador Threx of the Zorvani clicked his mandibles in frustration. They were warned. They think humanity is just another primitive species, a deep-voiced representative muttered. They don't understand what they've done, another whispered, their bioluminescent skin dimming with dread. The footage changed, showing Kayazal soldiers marching through human cities. Their technology was superior, their weapons devastating. At first glance, it looked like an easy conquest. That illusion wouldn't last long. An older council member leaned forward. "You don't conquer humans," he said, voice heavy with experience. "You provoke them." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The Kayazal had seen Earth's technological limitations and assumed it meant weakness. But those who studied humanity knew better. They were not defined by their weapons, but by something far worse: their ability to adapt. The display shifted again, now showing historical footage from Earth's past. Images of endless wars, conflicts that should have destroyed them but only made them stronger. They had fought on every terrain imaginable, against impossible odds, and still survived. A reptilian counselor hissed, watching a clip of human soldiers emerging from smoke and fire. "They don't just fight wars," he said. "They become war." A representative from a species that had once warred with humans shuddered. "We barely survived our first encounter with them." And that was before they had access to galactic technology. More images flashed by humanity's past victories, their brutal history of war and perseverance. The Council knew what the Kayazal would soon learn. The moment humans felt truly threatened, something inside them changed. The camera returned to Earth. The Kayazal still held the advantage. But the Council knew it wouldn't last. Even now, the humans were adapting, thinking, planning. It was only a matter of time. The chamber fell into silence as the realization set in. The Kayazal had just made the greatest mistake in galactic history. A deep, weary voice broke the silence. "We should prepare for what comes next. Because once humanity started fighting back, the real war would begin." Supreme Commander Volzith stood aboard the bridge of his flagship, watching as the invasion unfolded exactly as expected. Earth's defenses crumbled before Kayazal firepower. Their primitive aircraft fell from the sky, their cities burned, and their armies scattered. The humans were nothing more than insects, scrambling in chaos. Reports came in confirming major population centers had been secured. Kayazal soldiers moved through human streets unchallenged, their towering walkers patrolling the ruins of what had once been symbols of civilization. Volzith allowed himself a satisfied click of his mandibles. This was a textbook conquest. But then, something changed. The first sign was the disruption in communications. The Kayazal battle network flickered, entire squads disappearing from the grid. At first, it was dismissed as interference, nothing more than environmental anomalies. Then supply lines were cut. Convoys vanished. Command posts went silent. A unit deployed to secure a city district sent one final transmission, shadows in the rubble, striking from nowhere. No further reports followed. Kayazal officers scoffed at the notion that disorganized humans could present a real threat. But then, the ambushes began. Not from organized military forces, but from civilians. Armed with scavenged weapons, homemade explosives, and sheer audacity, they struck with precision. They didn't fight for territory, they fought to kill. And they didn't stop. Entire platoons disappeared overnight. Soldiers stationed in occupied zones reported being hunted. The enemy had no clear chain of command, no centralized resistance, just scattered groups acting with terrifying coordination. Kayazal technology, superior in every way, became unreliable. Their automated targeting systems were disrupted. Their walkers, designed for open warfare, were lured into urban death traps, destroyed by explosives placed beneath collapsed buildings. High-ranking officers, confident in their tactical superiority, were taken out with pinpoint accuracy by unseen snipers. The KRZAL soldiers, bred for war, began to feel something foreign: fear. Humans did not fight conventionally. They did not surrender. Wounded fighters strapped explosives to themselves, taking invaders with them. Traps were set in abandoned homes, turning safe zones into killing fields. Civilian broadcasts played recordings of past human conflicts, reminding the KRZAL of the kind of species they had provoked. Volzith received disturbing reports from the front. His warriors were refusing to patrol alone. Entire battalions were requesting reinforcements just to secure minor positions. The KRZAL were beginning to hesitate, their early confidence replaced with an unspoken realization. These were not the actions of a defeated species. This was not the chaos of a broken enemy. This was strategy. Deliberate. Methodical. The invasion had not stalled. It had turned into something else. And for the first time in his career, Volzith felt the uneasy grip of doubt. The first KRZAL ships fell from the sky in plumes of fire. Not from orbital strikes, not from rival fleets, but from human hands. Their own technology, hacked and repurposed, turned against them with terrifying efficiency. The KRZAL had come expecting a slaughter. Instead, they had walked into a war they were no longer winning. Captured weapons were now in human hands, modified, improved, and deployed in ways the KRZAL had never anticipated. Drones, once harmless civilian tools, became guided missiles, striking with ruthless precision. Cyber warfare shut down supply chains, corrupted targeting systems, and fed the KRZAL's own ships false coordinates, leading them into human ambushes. The invaders had counted on their overwhelming firepower. They hadn't expected their own ships to be hijacked mid-battle, their own encryption to be broken in days, their own reinforcements to be intercepted before they even reached the battlefield. Resistance wasn't just from soldiers. It came from everywhere. Mechanics repurposed enemy energy cells into devastating explosives. Engineers turned civilian infrastructure into death traps. Scientists developed countermeasures against KRZAL energy weapons, neutralizing their deadliest advantage. The humans weren't fighting to survive anymore. They were fighting to win. Morale among the KRZAL collapsed. Once proud warriors now flinched at every shadow, fearing the unseen enemy that hunted them without rest. Some deserted, others surrendered outright, preferring captivity over the slow, inevitable death that awaited them in the streets and forests of Earth. Volzitha's command center, once a hub of calculated efficiency, became a place of desperate, frantic orders. Requests for reinforcements were met with silence, no ships left orbit. No fleet came to their aid. The KRZAL armada, so mighty when it arrived, had been reduced to smoldering wreckage in the upper atmosphere. The last reports from his ground forces were fragmented, panicked. KRZAL bases were being overrun. Their command posts dismantled. Their leaders hunted down with surgical precision. This was no longer a battle, it was extermination. The final message from his remaining officers was a single sentence, relayed in a voice trembling with something no KRZAL had ever felt before. The humans are coming. The Galactic Council chamber was silent. The invasion was over. The KRZAL fleet, once an unstoppable force, had been reduced to wreckage. Their soldiers, once arrogant conquerors, were either dead or prisoners. The few survivors who managed to flee had returned with only one message: Earth was unconquerable. The footage played before the council confirmed it. KRZAL bodies lay in the streets, their weapons useless in their cold, lifeless hands. Human forces moved with terrifying precision, not just reclaiming their world but ensuring no invader would ever set foot on it again. The war hadn't ended with a negotiation. It had ended with a message written in blood and fire. For the first time, the council saw the true face of humanity not just as a species that endured, but as one that retaliated without mercy. The KRZAL had made the mistake of assuming strength came from technology. But humans had turned their weakness into a weapon. They had learned, adapted, and surpassed their enemy in a matter of days. A defeated KRZAL commander, now a prisoner of war, was brought before Earth's leaders. He expected demands, ultimatums, perhaps even execution. Instead, humanity simply offered him a transmission to deliver back to the Galactic Council. The message played now before the silent assembly. Earth's representative stood before the camera, calm, composed, and utterly unshaken. "Let this be a warning." The voice was steady, cold. "We are not the strongest. We are not the most advanced. But we are the last enemy you ever want to make." The transmission ended. The council chamber remained still. No debates. No arguments. Only the grim realization that a new power had risen in the galaxy. One that had not asked for war but had proven beyond all doubt that they would finish it. Humanity had survived. And now, the universe would never look at them the same way again.